a lot of bad about the eJPT version 2 course. I didn't actually do the course. What's up, Fix It? How you doing? I've not done the course. I've not done anything like that. I just went in, just took the exam. That's all I did. So I didn't actually watch any of the videos. I didn't read anything. I don't know if there's PDFs. I have no idea what's in the actual course itself. But I've seen a lot of hate going toward it. Say that's really dry, just things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look through this little blog post that someone posted, right? And kind of grab like a little bit of like a syllabus out of it and try to maybe do some more stuff with it, right? So I thought like, what's the best box for this? So I figured maybe a basic pen testing box that John Hammond came up with. It's called Web App Test, okay? So let's go ahead and copy down the IP address. And I do not remember how to do this box. I have no idea. I do not remember. I probably did it a long time ago. And we'll go ahead and we will make a directory for, what was that called? Basic pen testing, right? We'll just call it basic. All right. So let's go ahead and we will start off with, remember now something with the eJPT is that you are going to be on a, I don't remember if it was Kali or a parent machine. I don't really remember, but we'll try to only use tools that are within those machines. So we'll start off with an mmap, right? So we'll do all ports. We'll make it very verbose. This means do not ping, okay? So don't try to ping the target address, okay? Works really well with Windows, especially if you know it's already there or something. All right, we'll go ahead and throw the IP address. We could give it a timing of 5. Let's make this a little bit faster here, right? A lot faster, right? If you don't put any timing in, mmap starts as a 3. All right, and then you can make it go slower down to 1, or I believe 0, and then all the way up to 5. So the faster timing, the more likely you are to be seen. But since this is, we don't care if we're seen or not, right? With this, all right. Well, let's do attack A. And with that, that's going to be an aggressive scan. What I also want to do is attack O to say, hey, I also want to know what the operating system is, okay? Try to figure out what the operating system is. Now, mmap isn't very good at trying to figure out what the operating system is, but it could try its best, all right? And it looks like we got quite a few ports here open, right? So we see 8080, so that's most likely going to be a web server. We see 80, which is also most likely to be a web server. We have 445139, both those are SMB, and then we have port 22, which is SSH, right? Now, something else we can do with this, we can also say attack open and say, hey, I only want to see the open ports, and then we can run scans against those open ports, right? So we can say, I want to run all the default scripts against those open ports, right? And I believe that aggressive already does this, but I just like type it in just so I have that in my head. But I want to run default scripts. So if we look at locate.nse, all right, here's all the different mmap scripts like right here. So there are scripts that are ran underneath this default scripts like right here. You can look them up on mmap's website. And then, hey, I also want to see the version. What versions are these ports running? I want to do attack open for that so it only looks at what is actually open and tries to run things against that. So it's not going to try for an SMTP NTLM info since SMTP is not open up here, right? That's pretty much what we're telling it with attack open. TAC-T5, fix it. Usually I use Ruscan, which is way faster than TAC-T5, so I've never really cared too much. But if you're not seeing, or if you're seeing like weird ports popping up, or if it's saying like, that you're having problems, things like that, that's like where I would, bring it down. You know what I'm saying? So it looks like we most likely actually have a Tomcat server here, most likely. And the reason I say that is because we have port 8009 and 8080. Okay. And usually that is relevant of a Tomcat server. So let's try to figure out what's in this port 8080, right? Let's go to a curl. Okay. Make that verbose. And I'm going to put in the IP address again. And we'll say 8080. All right. Looks like we got a lot of stuff in here, right? A lot of different things, right? We obviously know that it's most likely running Apache, so we keep getting this Apache stuff. And we do see this Tomcat Apache, so I feel like I was correct with that. Okay, so now from right here, we should already kind of start coming up with ideas of what are we attacking underneath Apache, right? That should be our very first thing that we're starting to start to think about. We should also be thinking about different Apache attacks, maybe an ASP attack, something like that, right? Or something like that, right? There's a lot of different things that we could do from here, okay? But let's go ahead and let's stick with the training here. All right, so we're doing our information gathering. We're doing our footprint and scanning. All right, now next part is enumeration and vulnerability assessment, right? We started enumerating this, right? We found out that was Tomcat. We can go to that site too and most likely see that's Tomcat, right? Yep, we got Apache Tomcat. We have version 9.0.7. So obviously now, if we look at our little thing over here, it says vulnerability assessment, okay? Let's see if this version is vulnerable, I think, such as a ghost cat or something like that. But we'll take that. We'll say Tomcat, that exploit. And I usually just like type in GitHub. And I remember you can use, what is it, Metasploit for this also, okay? So what else we could do to search for that is search exploit, Tomcat 9.0, right? 9.0.7, right? So we'll say 9.0. Okay, doesn't look like we have anything straight up for 9.0.7, right? So it doesn't look like anything like that. So remember, if we see a .rb over here, then usually that's going to be a Metasploit, and we'll usually have a Metasploit written like right here. Okay, but it doesn't look like we have anything in there for that. But we do see a couple different things in here. Let's see here. We got Apache Tomcat vulnerability, CGI servlet. Okay, that was in 2019. Version 9.0.27 is vulnerable to something. All right, let's go and check this out like right here. See if it's just that version or anything below that version. Other versions may be affected as well. Okay, we can go ahead and try this. If it's not affected by it, then guess what? It's not going to work, right? So let's go ahead and grab this like right here. Now we may need to mess with Java on this one like right here, but we'll see. That'll be on my own machine, and if we do, we could most likely find something else. So we just say wget that guy. We'll say bash. Let's see what we got here. Usage, and then the target IP. Okay, please start a web server and start a netcat listener at port 4444. Okay, well that's glad we get to pick what port we want, which if we actually change this up, we could, but whatever. We'll do something like this, like right here. All right, and let's go ahead and get that target IP, right? So that target IP. Oh, and this is also done. So we've now enumerated all this. We'll go ahead and we'll check that out here in a minute. So we got that target IP now. Let's go ahead and check this guy out down here. So it looks like we have OpenSSH 7.2, right? Port 80, we do an Apache, okay? Server here, looks like Samba, Apache JServe again. So we're most likely on a Unix machine, right? That's what we're coming up with here. Then we see our Apache Tomcat, right? That's on 8080, like right there. At 8009 is eJPTv2, which, like I said, may be vulnerable to Ghost Cat. We'll check that out also. I have no idea if I installed that or not, but it most likely needs that YSO serial in that same area. So we're most likely gonna have to get that like right there, huh? Which actually we just need that like right here. Yeah. Calm down. And I do not think that this is the way up, but we're just gonna give it a quick try. Because right now we're trying to figure out if we can do something with this, but I guess we will find out, huh? All right, let's see if we get anything in here. If you don't reverse L, try to run it again. Okay, we'll try again. We have no idea if this is if this is even gonna work for it or not, right? So we are seeing a bunch of stuff coming down, and obviously something like this we wouldn't be able to use during eJPT because we don't have internet access like this. Okay, well, doesn't look like that's gonna be working for us like right there, and that's okay, right? That was just the first part of it, right? So let's go ahead and let's actually check out that site that we want to check out there. Our Apache Tomcat site. Okay, let's go and check out port 80 there. See if we got anything here. Okay, undergoing maintenance. Let's go and control U. Check our dev notes section if you need to know what to work on. Okay, so we know that there's a dev notes section now. So that's kind of strange, right? So we may be able to look into something like that to be able to move further into the machine. And let's go ahead and try. So for this now, we know that there's most likely more on here. So let's go ahead and grab this. and we'll run a GoBuster, or actually Derby, because we're running off of just straight up our Derbuster. Those two are preloaded, right? So we could say something like that, okay? And we want to put in our target here, right? We don't really care about that. Actually, I like Derby better, just because it's, yeah. There we go, okay? And then we'll go ahead and we'll use user share word list Derby big.text or something like that. Let's try something like that, like right there. We'll see if we get anything with this. Not really the fastest, is it, in the world? Oh, that's very slow. Is there like threads for this thing? This is extremely slow. Used to like Ferox Buster or something like that. Well, I guess we'll wait for that guy to finish up, huh? Just to show you all the difference. I should go ahead and just say, that's the difference between them, like right there. What we'll do is we'll stop this down here. Exit. Exit. That's going to take forever, like right there. No, it doesn't like it because it's already doing it over here, huh? There we go. You see this runs much, much faster, right? I like Ferox Buster, yes, but Ferox Buster doesn't come preloaded, so it seems to we won't be able to use that. The only reason I'm doing this like right here is just because of how long this is taking over here. But okay, cool. So we see that development. We also see a j.text and a dev.text in there. So let's see like where we're at over here now. We are still enumerating, right? We're still in our assessment methodologies enumeration, okay? So now let's go ahead and see what's going on with this development page, like right here. That looks pretty good. So there's our dev.text and our j.text. Go ahead and check our dev.text. I've been messing with the strut stuff. It's pretty cool. I think I might need to host that on the server too. Haven't made any real web apps yet, but I have tried that example. You get to show off how it works in the REST version of the example. Oh, and right now I'm using version 2.5.12 because other versions give me trouble. Okay, so that's something we want to know, like right there, is that something's using version whoopsie daisy 2.5.12. Okay, and what do we have for j.text over here? But on the concept of Etsy Shadow to make sure we don't have any weak credentials. And I was able to crack your hash really easily. You know our password policies. Please follow it. Change your password ASAP. Okay, that's for J. So I wonder who J is now. Now we have to try to figure out who is J, right? So let's go ahead and let's see if we can't figure out who J is. Now, how do we figure that out, right? In the very beginning, we saw that SMB was open, correct? So we could always try enum for Linux, which I'm just going to use the regular enum for Linux because that would be the version that's on the eJPT there. We'll put in the IP address like right there. Let's see if this thing can find any users on the machine, right? Now, we're still in the enumeration phase, like right here. We haven't actually tagged anything yet, right? We tried to, but we haven't actually tagged anything. So we're still in that enumeration phase, still trying to figure everything out within here, right? All right, we got anything yet? Do we see any users or anything like that yet? No users in here. Okay, that's domain SID though. Obviously, we're not on a domain, right? Users, use of initialize. Okay. Ooh, I don't know if it's actually going to work because I'm on a different um, because I have edu for Linux new generation NG, so I actually don't know if that's actually going to work right there or not. We won't be able to do this over here. NetExec will most likely not be on the machine. I'm just trying to see something real quick. Just want to see if we can actually see any shares with him. Okay, so IPC we actually cannot read. Anonymous we can read though. So that's something else we want to look at also. So let's go ahead and, even if we didn't know that, we could always do an SMB client, right, which is part of it. TAC-L. Whoops. And then this would show us what we can actually see in there, right? Doesn't tell us if we can read it or not. We're just going to enter for no password. But we do see that anonymous like right there. So let's go ahead and try to see if we can read anonymous. And we do have to do, as this is a Linux machine, we believe, so we'll do that. Okay. It does find some session IDs down here. We also have the staff.txt. Let's go ahead and get that staff.txt now. We're still enumerating, right? Obviously, that's a finding that you have no SMB access, like right there. Okay. So if a question was like, is no MB or no SMB access on 10.10.86.155? Yep, sure is, right? So let's go ahead and cat that staff.txt. Okay. Please do not upload non-work related items to the share. I know it's all fun, but this is how mistakes happen. This means you, Jan. Okay. So we now have Jay's name, right? We now have Jan. So can we do a Hydra for Jan? Maybe on SSH? Who knows? Or maybe SMB? All right, who knows, right? But we may also find that down here, in our enumeration down here, we may be able to find that Jan exists. We'll find out here in a minute. So now we're brute forcing. So we kind of done this vulnerability assessment like right here, right? Next thing we have is auditing fundamentals, which just goes through compliance framework, things like that, right? Then we have host and network penetration testing, system host-based attacks, okay? We tried a couple. We haven't really found anything yet, right? That would actually be a system host-based attack, okay? Network-based attacks. We are brute forcing SSH like right now. Okay, we haven't really touched on Metasploit or anything like that yet. And we haven't really touched on exploitation, post-exploitation, or social engineering. We're not going to do social engineering, obviously, in this one, like right here, though. But we will touch on some other things here. Last one is web application, which we kind of touched on at the beginning with curl and things like that, right? Curl, going to the site, control U, pressing control U and actually reading the source code, running a directory brute forcer on a site and trying to find more stuff, finding information on that site. But they did say that their password was an easy password to crack. So we now have two users now also. We also have K and we have Jan, right? So those are things that we may want to echo into something like echo K into users.txt, and then we can echo Jan, right, into users.txt, right? And we're still looking at that port 8080 also, and we still have, maybe we haven't tried GhostCat yet also, which I believe SearchPloy actually has GhostCat in it, so we'll try that like real quick. We do. okay, AJP, right? So we could try something, and we actually have a Metasploit version of it. There's a .rb, so let's go ahead and do an MSF console. Let's see if this actually works for Metasploit over here. This ghost cat on this machine, like right here. I don't know how old this box is. But now we can do some Metasploit stuff also. All right, let's go ahead and use 0. We'll show options, right? Set our R host to that. Our R port is 8009. We do know that because we did our MF scan at the beginning. That was an aggressive scan, saying on open, and then doing our default scripts, looking at versions, and also trying to find the operating system for that, right? And running that aggressive scan. Let's go ahead and run this like real quick. Let's see what we got. See if we can find this WebXML, and we can. Okay, so it is also vulnerable to that ghost cat. So if there's more stuff in this web INF file like right here, we may be able to find more things in here. That's another thing. Okay. So, but usually that's about all there is in there, and we're not really seeing much else here now, are we? So unless we can actually log in to Tomcat, we're not really going to get anywhere with that, which we may be able to. We haven't tried that yet. We can always go to Host Manager, I believe it is, or Manager app. I always forget which one. We say Tomcat S3CRET. We try something like that. It doesn't look like it's that. Tomcat. Nope, not that. Okay. Admin. Nope. If we press cancel, S3CRET, yep, that would be. Okay, so we know it's not the default password. We can also search for Tomcat. Maybe able to brute force this. Okay, auxiliary scanner manager login, use 27. Show options. Set username maybe to Jan. Right. And then maybe we'll probably just leave that same password like right there. That's the user file. We don't really need that. Actually, no, we'll leave it. Let's just go ahead and set our R host. We'll run that. See if it has a default ones in there. As you see, it starts going through and trying to brute force the page like right there. Now remember, this is because that page does fall under the target URI manager HTML. So if we were to actually go there to manager.html, we should get a login as we do. Okay. We're still brute forcing up here. All right, see if we're going to get anything with this up here with Jan. Hopefully we get something soon. If we do get in through Tomcat, we can upload .war file, thus allowing us to be able to get a reverse shell. But it doesn't really seem like we're getting very far now, does it? Let's go ahead and check out the questions, because I'm pretty sure we're supposed to brute force it. We already found that. User brute forcing. Okay, yep, we are supposed to do a brute force. Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll take a little break here, and then we'll wait till that brute force ends. So I will be right back. All right, so we're back now. We do have a password. And something I want to point out while we were going through that, right? We have other things running, right? So we have this Tomcat one running down here, right? We did our AJP Ghost Cat exploit to see if we could find anything there, right? We still have edu for Linux running. We aren't just sitting around waiting for one thing to finish. We are looking at other things and moving across, right? Just like at the very beginning, we didn't just focus on just Tomcat. We looked it up, saw that there was no easy wins in there, and then decided to look at SMB. So, see if there's any easy wins in there. Always try out for the easy wins first, okay? Keep it simple, stupid, right? Or keep it stupid, simple, whichever one you want to do, right? But looking at it, we were trying other things as we're also moving through. So we do have an SSH in as Jan under the password Armando. So we can go ahead and SSH as Jan at that IP address. And we could try to use that password of Armando that we found. Awesome, we are in, right? Very first thing we always want to try is sudo tac L. Can they run sudo? They cannot. Okay. That's all right, okay? We also have a name of the machine now, right? arptac A. So who else can talk to this machine? All right, cat etsy host. Okay, look at the different hosts on the machine. Look at places where, they may have, something else in there or some of that, right? So start to look at different things. I have config, right? Am I in a Docker or not? Obviously I'm not. Okay, we see it like right here, okay? If I wasn't a Docker, if I cd into var, I believe it's var or etsy, I always forget which one. But we would see Docker up here, or it might actually be etsy, I always forget. No, it's definitely var. We would see Docker up there, okay? We're not in a Docker, right? If this was real life and we were a higher privilege, we could look at mail, okay? We can also cd into www, see if there's anything, cd HTML, right? We can start to look at that development in there, okay? Where is that Tomcat server at, right? Where is that guy sitting at? So things like that, okay? The Tomcat server may be somewhere else. We can't find it like right now. We can always try to do a find. We can grep for Tomcat, right? Okay, so it's an opt, okay? So we can cd an opt. There's our Tomcat server like right there, right? So let's go ahead and cd that Apache Tomcat. Let's see what else we can actually see in here, right? What can we mess with? What can we read? All right, can we read this? Am I under the Tomcat anywhere? I am not, okay? I'm not a Tomcat user, so I can't read that. If I cat that running.txt, I most likely cannot read that. Okay, yep, permission denied. All right, that's okay. All right, but we want to start looking around at what else is on this machine and see where else can we go within this machine. Okay, that is one of the parts of eJPT, ECPPT, OSCP, CPTS, every single one of them. Okay, you want to see what else can we actually read. We can try grep for something. RWI user and see if we can find anything, okay? We get a whole bunch of permission denied. We can't go anywhere, okay? So let's go ahead and cd back into home. Who else is on this machine? Okay, we got K and Jan. Does that line up with Etsy password? There's Jan. We can actually grep it. We'll say grep for SH. All right, so just so we can find all our bin bashes, there's J, Jan, K, and root. Okay, so there's our 3 users that we can see on here, right? There's no other users on this machine. What's up, Dragado? How you doing? All right, so let's go and cd into Jan then, because we know that we can read stuff in there, right? We know that for a fact, right? We got this less HST. I don't know what that is. Let's go and cat that. Okay, permission denied. Okay, let's go ahead and cd into K. Can we actually read anything in here, right? lstech LA also to be able to see hidden files, things like that, right? So we can't read his bash history. We got this pass.back, which is kind of weird, but we can't read it. All right, since it's under KK, and we are not underneath the K group, right? So we do also have SSH. Can we go into SSH? Can we look at his keys? We can. We can read his ID RSA key, which is unusual. There we go. Okay. So can we technically, it's encrypted also. We see that like right here. It's encrypted, right? Which means that we need to break this. So good. This will give us some more practice, right? Let's go and exit out of here. And we'll go ahead and we will echo that whole thing into ID RSA, right? The very first thing we always want to do is do a change mode, 600 for ID RSA, so that it doesn't have as much permissions on it without a lot of permissions. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and we can actually use the ID RSA, or else we're going to get told like we can't use that. Okay. Oh, nothing much. Okay, so we have all that now, right? But now we need to crack that, right? So how do we crack an RSA key? We can utilize SSH to John. 1 second. Hey, man, just stumbled on this live stream. Can you explain what's going on here? He's hacking a vulnerable network inside of a sandbox environment. Yes, exactly what Graphics said. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do an SSH to John, right, for IDRSA, and we'll save that to hash.txt, and then we can do I wonder if I can do hashcat with this actually. Okay, so we'll do a John hash.txt, word list, rocky.txt, fork equals 4. And then there we go. We got beeswax, okay? That fork equals 4, what that does says to use more threads. That's what that says, okay? That's what that's telling it. So we have beeswax. So we could just SU now. We could try to SU, or actually we could try SSH, or we could try SSH right here. SSH, attack IDRSA. We have K at this IP address, right? I already forgot it. So because we enumerated the machine properly, we found these different things, right? Instead of just hopping in and immediately running limps and trying to search through limps to find everything, go ahead and start to enumerate it properly. Sudo tech L, can he do anything? We don't know his password. We could try beeswax again. You never know. He may have used the same password. Might have a password reuse here. He does not. Okay. Something else you always want to try is maybe to SU into root and try that password also. Okay. Nope. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit ID now. Now we are part of an admin group. That's weird. Okay. We're part of the Samba share group. We've obviously have now escalated our privileges. We're not root yet, but we have escalated our privileges, right? We can go and exit out of here. All right. So we are part of that admin group now. So what can the admin group do? Let's go ahead and check that out. We can go ahead and go to cat scripts. And all of these scripts you can find on my GitHub underneath scripts. And yes, they're not on. Yeah, it is a lot of groups. Yes, they are not on the machine itself, right? So when you start up that machine, you're not going to have a scripts folder that have all these scripts on it, right? However, you can have your Kali machine running in the background, right? That's not against the rules to have your Kali machine running in the background, right? So we actually want to find a group, don't we? Find group for user. Okay, so our group is going to be admin, right? ADM, because that's a weird group, right? What can they mess with? We still haven't checked our SUID bits, which I'm pretty sure is not A, or else Jay would be able to use them, or Jan, would be able to use them. Okay, but we do see quite a few things in here that they could maybe mess with. Might be able to look at something like this, write that auth.log, like right there, right? See what's going on over here. Okay, that looks like it's going to be a little too hardcore for eJPT, though. But we do have something in here, like right here, accept the public key from K. Never mind. Okay. But we are in his thing now. We do have this pass.back file, right, that we found before. Let's go ahead and cat that. Okay, here's a really strong password that follows password policy. Okay. $$. I don't know what that is. Is that root's password? I have no idea what that's for, like right there. But it's not a really strong password since it has no capitals, no numbers, nothing like that, right? So that's that might be a sudo password, right? Because beeswax was not it, so we may be able to use that for a sudo password. Maybe that's his actual password, and it is. That's his actual password, okay? So since that's his actual password, we now have this all. So we could do a sudo sudo su, right? And we are now root, okay? So there we go. That's it. CD to root now. LSTAC right? Flag.txt. There we go. Now, something that we want to look at, though, while we're in here is cat bash history, right? We want to look at that. See what has this user typed in before, because this is the first time we've been on it. All right, so let's go ahead and see. There's supposedly more ways to get up on this thing. According to this link right here, let's go ahead and cat scripts SUID bits. Let's go ahead and see if there's any SUID bits on here. Oh, no, he did U minus S, like right there. Doesn't look like he really wants to look at SUID bits, huh? There we go. So it looks like at the beginning, Vim was it, but We actually have a Vim basic. I believe we can actually use Vim basic and do the same exact thing with it. Let's try it. That's sudo. I want to try it with SUID, right? So let's go and try something like this, like right here. We want to do user bin Vim basic, right? There we go. Oh, tried. Now we're stuck in a Vim hell. There we go. Okay. Well, that one did work like right there, right? But we do see that we could just do our sudo su. And now we're in here. If this was real, we'd also want to look at the app folder, right? Because we saw Tomcat in there, right? There may be more users in Tomcat. So this is starting to look at other things that we may be able to find in here, right? I believe it's in conf for Tomcat. Tomcat users.xml. All right, now I'm wondering if that's the actual password for Tomcat. Let's go and try it. We have Tomcat1, then that, right? Is it Tomcat1? Is that correct? Yep. Let's go and try that like right there for 8080. That may also be the well, it does say manager GUI like right there. Okay, so MySQL is not even out here, so we do have manager GUI like right there. So let's go ahead and go to manager app, Tomcat1, put in that password, and there we go. We are now in Tomcat, right? So this is another place we want to check out, right? Is there anyone else in here? Are there any other users, which we didn't see any inside of our user.xml like right here? But it's not just get root and then you're done. Like, oh, I did it. No, that's not all it is. Okay, there's more to it, right? And now we are now in the stage, if we look at this guy over here, of post-exploitation, right? We already exploited it, but now we are in the post-exploitation stage, right? So trying to get more information to be able to continue on and find information, to be able to move around to different machines, right? So let's go ahead and now that we're in Tomcat, we might as well just do it. Let's go ahead and make a .war file and try to get a reverse shell like that, right? Which then we would be the Tomcat user. So let's go ahead and MSF Venom, TAC P. It's going to be Java JSP. Yep, something like this. Okay, so Java JSP shell reverse.tcp. Our L host. Who are we, right? We are that user. Our L port, we know that 445 can talk to us, so stick with something that you know. 1337 is not a good port to use. All right. Over here also, just in case if we didn't figure it out, we do have this Jan user like right here also. So even if we didn't see that one, we have this Jan user like right here, and now our enum for Linux is done, right? So awesome. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll call that shell.war, whatever. All right. And let me go ahead and start up a listener. Now remember, you could also make this like an interpreter, right? We could also use exploit MSF console. We'll go ahead and do it on here. We could use exploit multi-handler, right? To try to get a shell back. And let's go ahead and load that into here while that guy's loading up. Let's call it basic, right? Shell.war. Okay, we'll come over here and we'll use exploit multi-handler. And we'll set our payload as what we set as up here. Set our L host as what we set as up there. And then set our L port as what we set it as for our exploit. We'll go ahead and we'll run that, right? Let's go ahead and deploy that guy, that shell.war. And then we'll click on him. Looks like it does not like that, like right there, which I have seen it not like stuff before, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and try to just go straight to shell, maybe shell.war. Oh, we actually get something back. We actually got something down here. All right, ID. There we go. We are now a Tomcat user. Okay. So what do we do with this, right? Maybe Control Z back on that session. We could try to do something like search for what's it called? Shell 2, I think it is. Shell 2 interpreter. Yep. Use 0. Show options. Set our session, right? So we got to do our session stack I. Session 1. Set our session to 1. We'll have to run that. Let's see if we can get an interpreter shell on it, right? It doesn't look like we got anything for that interpreter shell, though, did we? That's okay. You know why? Oh, there we go, actually. We just got an interpreter session like right there. I'm about to say, we can actually make a shell, then bring it out of there, right? But now that we're over here, what else can we do, right? Well, what about, I don't know, maybe getting files? Okay, let's go and cd into /temp, right? Let's say we do want to bring linps over here. All right, I have a tools folder, okay? And let me go ahead and do a start up a web server on my machine over here, right? On port 80. And I can do a wget. There we go. Okay, so we're going to wget HTTP my IP address, limps.sh, calls back up here. We get our 200 saying okay. Then if I do an ls-la now, we see that we have limps. So I can change mode +X for that, or just type in bash limps. All right, then I could run that also, right? But we also have our interpreter shell down here now, right? Since we have our interpreter shell, what can we do with that? Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's go and see if we can do maybe a kernel exploit. Let's go and search for Linux exploit suggester, right? Or exploit suggester, okay? Local exploit suggester. So we'll use 0. We want to show options. So we have our sessions here, like right there, right? So session stack I. We'll do our session 2 actually, because this one's just a Java shell, like right here, right? So this one's an actual x86, okay? I'm going back around that. Set our session to 2. Show options, and we'll go ahead and we'll run that. Are there any local exploits that Meterpreter can find for us to be able to upgrade our privileges? Right now, on this one, like right here, on this callback that we got, we are Tomcat, right? We are not root over here, right? So we're kind of re-exploiting the machine here, right? So now Meterpreter is going to go through and it's going to try to find all the Linux x86 exploits, right? And since we do have a shell on the machine, we could always do a uname tac a, and you can do this from anywhere. Any user can do this, right? We can see, so it is actually 64-bit, not an 86-bit. So we'll see if it actually works over here, because it is actually a 64-bit, because we see it like right there. But this guy will run his checks. Remember, you have, I think you have, how many days you have for eJPT again? Does everyone remember? I know you have days. You used to have 3. I don't know what you have anymore. I don't remember. We've now also penetration tested a web server, right? So this has gone over pretty much every single thing that they teach inside the course, like right here. Was it quick? Yes. Was it an extreme death? No. But I know that a lot of people are having problems with the courseware there. So we have something like this, okay? We find ourselves exploit right there, right? And I'm sure they teach more than just wget, right? Passing stuff between Windows from Linux to Windows. We can do things like that. Chad B. Noob, a lot of people are complaining about the courseware for eJPT version 2. So I just went through this guy's blog post, looked at what it actually taught, because I didn't actually look at it all. I just took the test. So we went through and we did all these different things. We did our information gathering, our footprint scanning, enumeration. We did a vulnerability assessment, right? We found a user that had a weak password. We then brute forced them. And then from there, we started looking at ARP-TAC-A, our Etsy host, things like that. Yep, filling in the gaps. Yep, stuff like that, right? And now we just got our interpreter shell back, even though we're already root. I went ahead and we looked at Tomcat users XML file to do our post exploitation, and now we are seeing is there any kernel exploits for this guy. Looks like we got 2 so far that may work with this, right? You can see this does take a minute, like right here. And this is the time, while you're looking at this to maybe, if you aren't root yet, right, to maybe continue to look around at things in here, right? So exit out of root, okay? We could try to do like a bash linps or something like that. Or we could always put seeding attempt. We could always put Linux exploit suggestion on here, right? Can I get a link for that blog? Yeah, sure. I'll say I just found it on during the stream. Check YouTube. Here you go. Let's throw that on. This is some random guy's blog. This is not mine. So whoever wrote this, thank you very much. There you go. There's the link for that blog link right there. So now we're finding a bunch of them, right? Cool. Finding a bunch of different things, right? But we could also put Linux exploit suggestion on here, right? Or we can run that limp piece now, right? Because we're not actually root, so it's not going to give us a whole bunch of stuff, right? Okay, it looks like, yeah, we have sudo. All right. He also has LXD. That's another thing that we could have probably exploited like right there. So, got a lot of stuff in here. All right. And if you guys haven't noticed the chat, Chad B. Noob is in here. If you guys are not part of his Discord, you're wrong. Probably one of the most helpful Discord channels I've been on. His and Tyler Ramsby, two great Discord channels and penetration testers, like right there. All right, so we just see that sudo at the very top there, right? What I'm also wondering is maybe is sudo actually bad, right? That sudo version, right? But we can see like right here, we can run all, right? But we also have sudo up here. Is this sudo version actually exploitable? Right? That's something else we want to look at. So now we're kind of just in a little Linux private state right here. Sudo version 1.18.6. So we can try and search for that. Maybe it's vulnerable to hack me a sandwich, right? There we go. Okay, privilege escalation, format string. Okay, privilege escalation. Okay, so we got all these guys like right here, right? Let's go in. What's this one called? Basic. Search exploit. attack-m. Cat that 5.1. Cat that guy right there. Okay, we can go ahead and try this like right here, right? Put this on the machine and try it. Let's go ahead and see. Oh, whoops. Maybe I should actually start a web server, huh? There we go. Okay, well, couldn't do it with him. That's okay. We do have a bunch of exploits over here that we could try, right? Now, one thing with kernel exploits, do be careful because they can shut a machine down, okay? So let's go ahead and try this very first one. We'll say use that guy. Show options. Set our host to 10, right? That's us, right? And we should have to set our session. And we'll set our session to 2, right? If I do my session attack I, remember session 2 was the actual interpreter session, right? Let's go ahead and run that. See if we get anything back. And then we'll scroll up, and if we don't, then we'll try this pawn kit one link right here. We can also, remember, always go out to the web and look at stuff too. Now I don't remember the password. Doesn't matter. We're going to get in other ways, right? I had to do a sudo su also. But we don't need, where we're going, we don't need passwords. Oh, well, no session was created. That's okay. I just don't want to keep auto-checking, that's all. Anything that can make you go faster, right? Don't really think the Docker one's really going to do. Really going to do anything. We might be able to do something like this. We also may be able to do some newer exploits like game over. Which this one's super easy to do. Let's see if we can actually run this one right here. If we actually just look at this guy, we can literally just run the commands that are in here. Literally just copy and paste those commands. Did I mess that up? Oh, I have to do this whole thing, don't I? Maybe that's why. Oh, couldn't do that link right there. That's okay. You know why? Because guess what? Get UID, and I am root over here. So we now got root through the Linux exploit suggester, right? Another way to get up there, okay? So just more ways to be able to get up, right? But I think it's going to be it for this video. I think it's also going to be it for tonight. Hopefully that kind of filled in some gaps for everybody. Hopefully that taught you all something. What we did in the beginning, right? We did our mmap scan. All right, we did our mmap scan, aggressive, trying to figure out the OS, looked at default scripts, looked at versions of stuff. From there, we did a curl command against the HTTP server that was running on 8080. We also tried to look at exploits for that version that we saw, right? That 9.0.17 or whatever for Tomcat. We also looked at GhostCat, which is the AJP exploit there, but couldn't find anything in there. We ran enum for Linux and saw that we can see things. We ran SMB client TechL, and all of these are on a regular Kali, regular parent install so far, okay? We ran our SMB client TechL, and we saw that, yes, we can actually see different shares. Then we tested to get into one of the shares, and we found some information in there, some text files. We read those, and we found the development server also, right? Once we went to port 80, we did a control U, looked at source code, saw a comment in there for something called dev. So we ran a dir-b on it. Okay, that one took too long, so I ended up running FearOxBuster. But you know, if you're in the middle of the exam, dir-b is not going to take as long. I do remember that exam, everything being pretty quick. All right, so we ran a dir-b on it. We found that development web page there, went to there, saw some more text files, figured out that Jan was one of the users, not just Jay. Okay, so once we found out that Jan was a user and that the password was simple, we decided to brute force it. We brute forced their password. We were able to get in. Once we were able to get in, we then started looking around the system, see what we could read, went to K's desktop there, his home folder, and saw that we could read his SSH key, right? We ended up cracking that, okay, utilizing SSH to John, and then John the Ripper to be able to crack that password, which still, again, so far, every single thing, all those are default on Kali and also Parrot. All right, so we cracked that. Once we got that, we SSH'd in with our SSH Tech I after doing our change mode 600, remember? Once we got into the machine as K. We then did a sudo tackl again, and we saw that we could run, we need a password. We did see his password.back file in there, his pass.back. We ended up reading that, utilizing that password for K's password, and we saw that we could run any sudo capability we want to. After that, we went a little bit above and beyond. We started doing our post-exploitation. We looked at the password for Tomcat. We got a reverse shell through Tomcat. And if we would have actually got that in the very beginning, we would have been done with this without ever even knowing about Jan, or K, right? Because we would have been able to use one of these exploits over here. But we got a reverse shell. We utilized Metasploit to catch that reverse shell. We then did a shell to interpreter. Once we got the interpreter on there, we then looked up the local exploit suggester, right? Once we got that running, we tried a couple of the different exploit suggestions that Metasploit gave us, and we were able to get this guy like right here working, and we also got root on there like that too. We also looked at that user's XML file to make sure there was no other users on the machine, nothing like that, nothing that could make us move from one machine to another, right? We also looked at our Etsy host, correct, to make sure there was nobody else on there that this machine could talk to, and we also looked at RTAC, right, to see who else can this machine talk to. I'm pretty sure the machine just died, though. Also, pretty sure that's it for me for my hour or whatever. Yep, machine expired. So cool. So we got through this guy pretty easily. Okay, that was not a very hard one right there, but this was more or less just to kind of fill in the gaps with what the eJPT is teaching you guys, and going along and doing more. Okay, so I already made that eJPT 0 to hero video, but this is just kind of just to fill in those gaps a little bit more and do some post exploitation, look at a blog post and see what you guys actually learned in that course. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. And I'm going to stick around for like a little bit. If you all have questions or anything like that, I'll stick around for a minute. But hopefully you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you all later.